Nationality on a plate, you heard that right? Eat it home, eat it out, not a doubt. It's the best. Put it to the test. To the others, I say rest in peace.
Sa sa pa pa re re ga ga sa ni re sa ga re pa ga re re ni ga ga pa pa re sa ga re pa ga ni pa ga ga sa pa pa ni ga re pa ga ni pa sa ni pa pa re ni sa pa ga ni pa sa ni re sa
Nationality on a plate, you heard that right? Eat it home, eat it out, not a doubt. It's the best. Put it to the test. To the others, I say rest in peace.
Sa sa pa pa re re ga ga sa
Nationality on a plate, you heard that right? Eat it home, eat it out, not a doubt. It's the best. Put it to the test. To the others, I say rest in peace.
sa sa pa pa re re ga ga sa ni re sa ga re pa ga re re ni ga ga pa pa re sa ga re pa ga ni pa ga ga sa pa pa ni ga re pa ga ni pa sa ni pa pa re ni sa pa ga ni pa sa ni re sa ga ga ni pa pa sa re ni sa pa ni ga pa ni re re pa pa ga ga ni sa pa ni ga pa re ga pa pa sa ga ga re re pa 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 sa ga ga re re pa ni ga pa re ga sa re ga ga ni re re sa ga pa re ga sa re ni sa.
Greetings to one and all that is joining us live today. A very warm welcome to you. This is Swati Vasudevan, co-founder of Sur Darbar and curator of many of the past events that you have watched over the past 2 years. Sur Darbar is a warm and welcoming Indian classical music platform for students, artists, performers, and audiences from Austin and the extended Texas Tri-City area, Houston, Dallas, San Antonio. We are a registered 501c nonprofit organization, and we have built an encouraging and supportive music community to interact and network with like-minded individuals to learn, enhance, and promote each other's art. We began as a physical darbar right here in the southwest region of Austin, but during the pandemic, we explored unique ways of bringing meaningful content to our community through virtual channels. We are excited to resume our in-person events while continuing to complement it with valuable virtual content as well. You may check out our past events through our YouTube channel at Sur Darbar. Please do take a moment to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already, so you can be notified of our future events. If you'd like to stay in touch with us, you can do so by sending us a friend request on Facebook or on Instagram. If you'd like to be featured in one of these programs, please send us an email at surdarbar.austin@gmail.com. And if you know of somebody that would be interested in being a part of the Sur Darbar events, please have them write to us at surdarbar.austin@gmail.com. If you're watching this today, may I request that you play a small part in promoting Indian music by sharing our content with your friends and family through all of your social media platforms. So, after a hiatus of a few months, I am super excited to be back with you once again. Sur Darbar is thrilled to resume not only our monthly cadence of both in person chamber concerts, but also bring you virtual informative sessions. Today, we bring to you yet another very interesting and useful session titled Practice Riyaz with Mokka Mauli. This is going to be a very unique icebreaker conversation where we will explore what goes on behind the scenes with every musician, every performer, every music student, or practitioner of the art, and discover some fun ways of practicing music, learn some cool tips and techniques that you can all use in your music journey. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to you all Mokka Mauli. Well, Chandramouli Chandrasekharan. Better known by his stage name, Karthik Shekaran is a trained Carnatic vocalist who was under the tutelage of late Sri S.V. Ramani Bhagavatar in Delhi. Karthik is a multi-faceted, multi-instrumentalist, a music producer, and a vocal coach. He is also a vocalist and a producer at Vahaka, a multi-genre band from Delhi, well known for their Dosai song. If you haven't listened to it, I encourage you to check it out. As an educator, he specializes in creating and delivering unique training programs, both in music education as well as using music based approaches towards team building. Karthik's programs adopt a strong foundation in classical Indian music, both the Hindustani as well as the Carnatic styles, and of course, branch out into various other styles and genres. Currently, Karthik has more than 100 students in various online training programs from around the globe. Sur Darbar is super excited to present to you Karthik Shekaran in our informative and fun session, Practice Riyaz with Mokka Mauli. So please join me in welcoming Karthik to this Sur Darbar platform. Karthik? Hello, good afternoon, Karthik. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for having me over.
It's wonderful that after the pandemic we have broken down all the barriers of time and barriers of the globe, that we
Right.
interact and collaborate with people not just here in Austin, not just here in Texas, not just here in the US, but
In the
across the globe.
US.
So it's wonderful
Right.
that we were able to connect over this last
Absolutely.
year, and very excited to have you on our platform. So, Karthik, before we go on to this Riyaz conversation, I'm very curious to know what is with Mokka Mauli? How did that come about?
Well, it goes a long way back. Of course, my legal name still is Chandramouli, so that's Mauli is short for that. So a lot of my friends, particularly from my college days in Chennai, they call me Mauli. And I have this annoying habit of cracking uh, ridiculous jokes, like word plays and what some people call PJs here up in northern part of India, and that is
Adi.
known as mokka, kaddi jokes basically. Yeah, so that is known as mokka jokes in Chennai. So that is a nickname I earned during my college days again. So there was a time when they would just call me Mokkai. So just to give you an example, this is what I would give out in my workshops. This is a fridge
Uh-huh.
magnet.
Okay. Keep,
No,
what
no,
is it?
it says ice. No, we just want practice.
Okay.
So it's a
Okay.
wordplay. Okay,
Okay.
so things like that. So it's a lot of wordplay in my life. So some of them turn out great, some of them not so much. People want to kind of run away from me. So
Okay.
so I thought
Okay.
it'll be a cool name, and it's like a nice conversation starter, which I think.
is
Yeah,
evidenced right
yeah,
now.
that's fun. That is fun. So that's Mokai Mauli. Okay, but your real name
Yeah.
is it Karthik Shekaran or is it Chandrasekharan?
It's Chandramouli Chandrasekharan. Last name Chandrasekharan, first name
So
Chandramouli.
where is the Karthik coming from?
Oh, so the Karthik. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. So the Karthik is basically a name that I have at home. My grandparents wanted to name me Karthik. My parents wanted to name me Chandramouli, which is very odd. Because considering grandparents going for a cooler sounding name, a more common
Uh-huh,
name,
versus
yeah,
then the
and
parents.
the parents picking up a more, what, a name which is rare, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's like that. So all my childhood friends used to call me Karthik. So when I started this my musical journey, I always used to think probably a shorter name which is catchier, which is easy
Mm-hmm.
to remember. So I thought I'll just use Karthik
Karthik.
Sekaran.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
Sekaran
for
from my
purposes of
last name.
this
Yeah,
session, we'll use Karthik if that's okay.
absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because we've popularized this event with Mukai Mauli, so I just want to make sure I'm referring to you the way you would like to be referred to as.
Right, right. Yeah.
So Karthik, I thought you were at home doing this session. Are you in a recording studio of some kind? Like I see some guitars, I see a piano over
Yeah, there
there.
you go. Yeah.
Tell
This is
me a
my
little
home.
bit.
This is
What all do you have? What all do you have going on with your music?
well, yeah. So this this is supposed to be the guest bedroom in my house, and ever since the lockdown happened, we were like, we're not going to get any guests. So I changed it into a music room. So yeah, so
Uh-huh.
I have my entire system here, the keyboard, the guitars. There's an old wardrobe here which has an old violin, a bunch of flutes, small keyboards, and all other jig bang things. So yeah, so a lot of instruments in this room. There's actually mridangam right next
I
to me
see,
here,
I see.
near me.
So
Yeah,
you gave up a corporate job to
right.
do music, right?
Yeah,
What
yeah.
all do tell us about the instruments you play and
Well, I I was born a percussionist. I would call myself that. I mean, if
Mhm, mhm.
there's any such thing like that. So because from a very young age, I had a thing for beads. I would take my mom's knitting needles,
Uh-huh,
and
uh-huh.
you would be surprised. I have one here, right here. This is a
Okay.
crochet needle.
Crochet noodles.
Okay, so I would take her knitting needles, and I would bang on all the doors, and dent them all away, and wreck them all.
I'm sure your
So
mom
they
didn't like
thought,
that.
no, she didn't like that. So she thought, okay, let's put him in mridangam lessons. So, but that didn't last long because I was only 6 years old and the mridangam was bigger than me, basically.
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
And my hands wouldn't go, and my teacher was too strict, and he would just be too strict and keep scolding me. So I just used to come back crying. So they said, okay, enough of that. You go start singing. So at the age of 7, I started learning Carnatic music.
Uh-huh.
That went on very well till the age of 18. But the thing for beats has always been there. So today I can, I can play almost any kind of percussion instrument,
Mhm, mhm.
good enough to maintain a beat, put some nice fills, and like give a nice feel to the entire performance. It can be a drum kit, it can be mridangam, tabla, djembe, kanjira, whatever percussion you name
Mhm,
it.
mhm,
I
mhm.
can I can figure it out. If I have not even touched it before, I can figure it out very quickly.
Wonderful.
Apart
Mhm.
from that, yeah, apart from that, I can play the flute to save my life. That's it, right?
You're too
So I've
modest.
learned.
I've seen all the
It's
things you can do.
I know the keyboard just well enough to be able to help me produce, but yeah, of course, that the keyboard journey has been the most enriching one so far because
Mhm, mhm,
it has made me learn a lot of Western theory.
mhm.
So yeah, so the keyboard, I have finally reached the stage when I can, play with both my hands and just enjoy the process. It's a little better flowing now.
Mhm. And all the self-taught
Continuous learning
completely,
process.
right?
All
All
of
the
them self-taught. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And the guitars, the acoustic guitar is like an extension of my senses. So a lot
Mhm,
of my compositions happen on the acoustic guitar.
mhm.
Yeah, and then after that the keyboard. So yeah, guitars, keyboard, bit of flute, and quite a
Percussion.
bit of percussion. apart from singing. And that's
Man, you're
those
a
are the
complete
instruments that I
package.
can do.
You can be the band in it yourself, right? That is
It's actually
phenomenal.
necessary these days. Yeah, it's necessary, if you are into music production to understand how instruments are being played. Yeah,
It's wonderful,
yeah.
and I can't tell you how thrilled I am, and how thrilled this community is going to be to have you on this program, and to be able
Likewise,
to share some
likewise.
things from you. Yes, that's wonderful. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much again for
Thank you.
your willingness to come to this show. Work trying to have 3 meals a day on the table when you had the full family at home, and trying to keep our art alive. And through my explorations, I came across some very, very fun tips that you had been sharing during COVID as well. And I'm so glad for technology, for having connected us in these unusual ways, right?
I
And
know,
I
likewise.
definitely gained a lot from some of the tips that you've been sharing. And then on the other hand, I see that a lot of students of today, during the pandemic, pre-pandemic, and even today,
Mhm.
they juggle multiple activities. Some of them are in
Yeah,
school, they are in sports, they're trying to do music, dance, and several different extracurricular. And then, given that we all have the same 24 hours, we have to get innovative with the way we use that 24 hours, right? So
right, right.
those were the things that I had in mind, saying, when I benefited from this, I know others can, so why not share it with the world? And who better than you, Karthik, because I think what you've come up with is something very, very unique, and something that a lot of people can benefit from.
Right, right. Right. Thank you so much for that. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, you tell me like what I'll definitely be sharing a lot of things that I have come to realize
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, in my journey in music, because a lot of that is relatable to me, like, running short of time because uh, you have too many things to do, or like there are certain things which just take way too much time in your
Hmm.
life. So
Hmm.
a few years ago, I used to work full-time jobs, and
Hmm.
my workplace, my office was a 1.5 to 2 hour ride in Delhi traffic,
Hmm.
one way.
Hmm.
So I would end up spending, close to 3.5, 4 hours every day
Hmm.
in the car, right?
Hmm.
So I had to kind of at that seriously hit my time with music. So
Hmm.
I had to come up with some methods and things like that. So I'll be sharing them. So yeah, you tell me, like, what are you specifically struggling with? Is there something very
Sure.
specific that you
Sure.
are struggling with?
Yeah, well, there are many things we all struggle with, but when it comes to specifically music and music practice,
Hmm.
or practicing
Hmm.
an art form, right?
Hmm.
Why don't we start with the most common ones, right? Why don't we begin with, what would you say is the ideal duration or frequency that one needs to practice? Maybe you can also cover, what is the best time of day to practice? How long should we practice?
Hmm.
How
Hmm.
often should we
Right. Yeah.
practice?
Yeah. Yeah. So let me address the second question first, like, when to practice.
Hmm.
So there are multiple schools of thought in that. Okay. But one common thing that is generally understood or believed is that, practice early in the morning.
Hmm.
Okay. But while that is great advice and it actually has some benefits, the voice is well rested, and the lower end notes can be hit much better in the
Hmm.
morning,
Hmm.
things
Hmm.
like that. So there are reasons why people suggest, get up early in the morning and do it, but it's not for everyone.
Hmm.
Uh, you've come up, you come back from work very late the previous night, you just don't have the energy, you just had a very
Hmm.
hard day, you just don't have the energy, you just want to sleep in a little extra and be ready for the day. So my advice to people, particularly like students who are very busy, or working individuals who are super busy, or like anyone who is just,
Hmm.
even homemakers, they're busy.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
get up and you're just running around the house,
Yep.
dealing with all the other people in there. So
Hmm.
so it is, it's a challenge for every single person to take that time out in the early morning.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I would suggest that whenever you find time,
Hmm. Hmm.
whenever in your day you find time, squeeze
Hmm.
in some practice and just do it. So I have students who practice at like 11:30 in the night. Some are like
Hmm.
5 a.m. practice. Some are like, you know, lunch after lunchtime. They get a little free time
Hmm.
from work, so they sit and practice.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
Although I do not recommend practicing with a full stomach
Stomach,
because
right,
it
right.
can just lead to a lot of acid reflux and a lot of complications. Been
Mm-hmm.
there, struggled a lot with that. Yeah. So try to squeeze in whenever
Mm-hmm.
you can do some practice. So
Mm-hmm.
now coming to the duration part, um, it can be as less as 15 minutes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And frequency should be every day. So that is where the thing is. No, try and do it every
Consistency.
single day. Show up
Mm-hmm.
every single day,
Mm-hmm.
even
Mm-hmm.
if it is, just 10, 15 minutes. If you're too tired, just switch on the Tanpura and sit and just listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I keep saying this to a lot of my students that everyone has a beautiful voice. The
Mm-hmm.
difference between a bad singer versus a good singer or a good singer versus a great singer lies in the ears.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
this is the thought that I maintain with all my students. So even if you are too tired to sing or just don't have the enthu to sing, switch on the Tanpura, sit,
Mm-hmm.
spend 10 minutes just listening to the Tanpura.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
more often than not, what happens is, it's just that static friction in the beginning, which is, all those mental demons, I would say, which are
Mm-hmm.
like, hey, you know what, you're too tired. You know what, let's do it tomorrow. All these excuses will come in but once you switch on the Tanpura and sit next to it, there's a
Mm-hmm.
very good chance that you'll end up singing at least one song.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps build that, achieve that frequency, like
Mm-hmm.
showing
Mm-hmm.
up every single day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, so yeah, so there you go. So duration as less as 10, 15 minutes, frequency every day,
Mm-hmm.
and time whenever you get time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I
So,
want to I want to piggyback on something that you said, and I can actually prove that that is so true, because when I was raising kids, my kids are much older now, but when I was raising kids,
mhm,
I had a packed schedule, and I had to find time for the things I did wanted to do.
right,
So I had blocked out Wednesday nights because that was the day when the kids didn't have any activities to go outside,
right,
and I would
right.
finish cooking, cleaning in the house, and leave home at 9:30 at night to go for my 10 o'clock dance practice. I had to drive
There you
half
go.
an hour, go finish the practice, and then come leave there at 11. So it was kind of like a packed schedule, but I had carved out a consistent time every week. And so I think
There
the
you go.
couple
There
things
you
I
go.
want to re-emphasize for our
Right,
community here
right,
is that every day, you got to block off. If it doesn't, if it's even if it
right,
changes in different days, but we have
right,
to make it
right,
just like we eat, we sleep,
right.
we watch TV,
Exactly.
we have to carve out
Right.
a few minutes every day.
Exactly.
Yep. So
Yeah,
that
which
consistency.
reminds me, yeah, that consistency is very important, and this reminds me of something that one of my students said. I mean, he's a middle-aged person, but he's an entrepreneur.
Mhm,
So they think a little different. People who have set up businesses, they have worked day and night and said,
mhm,
they think very differently compared to
mhm.
other people. So he very clearly said, not having time is he doesn't believe in it. It's like
It's a bad
a better
excuse.
way to say it. The better way to say it, right? It's not in your priority.
Correct.
It's
Correct.
like you have time. There's plenty of time to do a lot of things, but you don't do it because it is not in your priority at that moment. You might choose sleep over practice, or
Mhm,
you might
mhm,
you might choose, going out with friends over practice,
mhm,
or you might
mhm,
choose sitting and watching TV over practice. So if you
mhm, mhm.
prioritize practice, you are going to be more
Yes.
consistent.
Yes.
And that's why, 10, 15 minutes, it's barely anything, right? So you
Mhm,
just target
mhm.
10, 15 minutes and then you'll build it into your habit.
Mhm. It's
Yeah,
true. We all have the same 24 hours, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Nobody has a longer day than another person. So
Right.
it's true. We have to prioritize. But on that note,
Right.
also a message to our students, right? Don't pack your schedule with more than you can actually do, right? Think about
Exactly.
what's most important and prioritize music practice. So, move on to another part of the
Hmm.
conversation.
Hmm.
So, could you share
Hmm.
with us some unique practice techniques that I have
Hmm.
found very useful from your, sessions in the past? Would
Right.
you be able to share with our audiences what are some unique ways to practice, not the traditional sit down practice for an hour, 2 hours, whatever?
Right.
In those 15
Right.
minutes, what can we do?
Right. So you can see the human mind works in a very interesting way, and more often than not, we end up training our mind subconsciously than, consciously sitting and doing things. Sometimes that just happens. You're doing something else and your mind is working on something else altogether, but it is building up something, some kind of a skill in you. So when I used to drive 3.5, 4 hours every day, I started working out a routine in that time. Of course, I won't be singing for 4 hours. It's just ridiculous. Okay, but I would at least end up spending an hour while driving. So if you're someone who drives long distances, your car drive is a fantastic place to practice. It's a nice, fairly quiet environment,
With
right?
no
And you
audience.
can just no audience, no one there to listen, particularly if you're driving alone, right? Put on, instead of putting music, put on a tanpura in your car stereo and just sing along. You know,
Mhm.
sing whatever comes to mind. It can be film songs, it can be pop, it can be Carnatic Krutis, it can be some swaras, some raga alapana if you are into all those things. Just do whatever comes to your mind and just enjoy the process.
Mhm.
So that, it basically doing things like that, that'll keep the machinery basically well maintained and oiled, so that tomorrow, if your life changes and you suddenly find a lot of time in your schedule, it's not like, oh my God, I've not been singing for 15 years, I need to start everything from scratch.
Mhm. Mhm.
The machinery is still working. Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Same thing if you are someone, I'm sure, particularly people in the US, in the evenings or at nights, you're doing your dishes, right?
Mhm.
Switch on a tanpura in the background. Switch on a
Mhm.
tanpura in the background. There, 9 out of 10 times you're going to find yourself trying to match with the tanpura and sing something.
Mhm.
It's
Mhm.
it's better than not singing at all. Sing
Mhm.
something.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Um, for people who can take time out and just, have 15 minutes in their schedule every day, what you can just do is switch on a metronome. Metronome, very important. Metronome, have a metronome in your iPad or just on a laptop or somewhere, and switch it on and keep it at a comfortable pace, ideally 120
Mhm.
seconds. Just start doing some kind of a janta versai, or some kind of a palta or an alankar,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just do it in multiple speeds.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay,
Would you
since
be
like
able
first
to
speed, second speed.
demonstrate
Let
an
me
example
let
of
let
that?
me demonstrate. Yeah, there you go. Let me demonstrate. So I have Tanpura running, and I'll switch on a metronome as well on Google. Yeah, it's at 120. There you go. Okay. You can probably hear it. Do you hear
Mhm.
it? Yeah, there you go. Okay. You can do this cycle for 3, 4 times, and then the fourth time you can exhale as long as possible.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Little bit of breathing exercise that this will take about a minute of your time.
Mhm.
And then you can start with just sa, pa, and sa with the metronome. You go sa, pa, sa, pa, sa. You can probably do this for another minute.
Mhm.
Okay, so
Mhm.
that's a nice little warm up that you've
Mhm.
done in 2.5 minutes. After that, you can pick up any pattern particularly,
Mhm.
but
Mhm.
one of my favorite patterns is the uh, the cascading one, which goes sa re ga ma re ga ma pa. It can be any ragam as well.
Mhm. Any
It can be
alakar.
Maya
Mhm.
Malava Gaula for
Mhm.
Carnatic people. It can
Mhm.
be Bilawal or Yaman for the Hindustani people. Just pick
Mhm. Mhm.
2, 3, 4. Sa re ga ma pa da ni sa ni da pa ma da pa ma ga re sa. You can do that 3 times. Okay. And since the metronome is at 120, everything is syncing with the clock,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Mhm.
When it does 120 beats, it's basically
Mhm.
you've just sung for 30 seconds, right?
Correct.
That's what it is.
Correct.
Right. Sorry, if it does 120 beats, my bad. You've just sung for a minute. If it does 60 beats, you've sung for 30 seconds. That's what it is, right? So you do that 3 times, then you can follow it up with, you know, um, a double speed pattern of the
Jantivarsai.
same kind. You go sa re ga ma pa da ni da pa ma ga re sa re ga ma pa. Keep going 3 times. So what this pattern, there's very little room for you to breathe. So it indirectly works on your breathing
Yeah.
as well. Okay, it indirectly works on your breathing, that short breaths that you might
Yep.
need to take,
Yep.
because the metronome waits for no one.
Yes.
Right? Instead of your talam, where you can probably slow it down a few
Little bit,
milliseconds and
yes.
then take a longer breath and do, the
Yeah.
metronome waits for no one. Okay,
Right.
so it indirectly builds up your breathing skills, it indirectly builds up your rhythm skills, because you're constantly trying to sync with the metronome. Tuck, 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 tuck. Okay. You can do the same thing in A, E, U, A, all the vowel sounds.
Akarams.
Same thing, like in all the akarams, all the vowel sounds, basically, because that's where the whole magic happens when we sing, right? All the embellishments in a song happen around the vowel sounds.
Correct,
So
correct.
might as well practice them. Okay. You do all of this, and you'll probably end up spending around 5 to 6 minutes. Okay, one after the other, around 5 minutes. Then to kind of strengthen your rhythm sense, you can probably click or clap with the metronome while singing the same pattern again. So you go 2, 3, 4. Sa re ga ma pa. I'll do that again. Yeah. So you can then probably, excuse me. So with all of that, you are probably done with around 5.5, 6 minutes. And in the next couple of minutes, you can do the same thing, but this time clicking, clapping, or just tapping with the metronome. Okay, you go. Sa re ga ma pa da, and so on. Okay. A bit extra difficulty on it, and click on the ands basically while you're singing, or do the other way. You click but sing it between, basically. You go 1, 2, 3, 4. Sa re ga ma pa da ni. Okay, you go. Or do the other way around. You go sa re ga ma pa. So your vocal is aligned with the metronome, but the clicks are
The
happening
beat
in
is off.
between the beats. Okay, offbeat.
Can you tell
So
our younger audiences or the students why that technique is going to be helpful? Like, tuning your voice to the metronome, but clicking off.
Right. So what that does is, you need to build a certain amount of independence between the various aspects of singing in your body. There is voice, then there is a beat, which you tap your foot, or your fingers, or whatever you do. You need to build independence to be able to do certain complex things and to be able to sing in different talams.
Correct.
Okay, so the mind by default works in a beat of 4. Most people's, not most, everyone's head, you do anything, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. That's what you go, right? So even you're racing, it's like 1, 2, 3,
2,
ta.
3, 4.
That's how you go, right? So the number 4 is very, very common, I would say. So everybody is tuned into number 4, number 8. Okay.
Correct.
But if you want to be able to do different things, you need to build some independence, and this is the first step towards building that independence. Okay. So that tomorrow you can do things like, singing triplets on this. You go, instead of going 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Instead of going like that, you go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sa re ga ma pa da ni da ni. Sa ni da pa ga re ga re sa.
Yes.
Get it?
Yes.
So to be able to do all those cool things, which, I mean, particularly for youngsters here, happens a lot in, rock and progressive rock and metal, much more things that they do. So if you are a guitarist, or if you go and you are like wanting to build those skills, to be able to play in different time signatures, start with this kind of practice where your hands are going in a different direction, but it is still in sync with the metronome, and your voice is going in a different direction, but in sync with the metronome.
Yeah.
To be able to play those polyrhythms, so to speak.
I think what we're unconsciously doing is activating our brain's ability to do these different things, which we don't realize, consciously. We are only doing
Right.
two, maybe we're
Right.
adding the third and the
Yeah.
fourth dimension. So very good.
Exactly.
That's a wonderful tip, and thank you for
Right.
sharing some of
Yeah.
those ideas with
Right.
our.
Yeah. So with that, you'll be done with around 7 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes. And whatever time you are left with in your 15 minutes, you can probably do some raga alapna or sing some songs, depending on your level. So
And the swaram, the alankaram practice you can choose a different rag each time, so that way you're exploring staying at that different rag, which is something I have been
exactly.
taught to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
So
building
so
proficiency with that rag as well.
exactly. So you can change either the pattern or change the rag of the pattern so that you can keep putting yourself out of that comfort zone where you know get way too comfortable with a raga to an extent that you're just not able to sing. There are many people who struggle if they have learned sa re ga ma pa da. If they have learned it in Maya Malavagavla, you ask them to sing it in Kalyani, they'll struggle. They
The
can't
first
immediately
time is
switch
very
to sa
difficult.
re ga ma pa da. They won't be able to
Yes.
switch quickly. Okay. So to be able to do that, yeah, one day do this rag, next day do a
Right.
different rag.
Right. And the first time is always difficult. Once you
It is always difficult.
get into that groove of singing Kalyani, Alankarams and
Right.
Kalyani, it takes a couple of
Right.
repetitions. But then once you get into it, that's a very effective way to practice ragas, I have observed.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
So that's wonderful.
Very
So
good.
friends, I don't know about you, but 15 minutes in a day can really work magic. And thanks, Karthik, for some of those very,
Yeah.
very cool tips. So
And this 15-minute routine that I have kind of given it to some of my students, the very common feedback that I've received is that it's super intense. And after
right.
15 minutes, they're like, wow, I'm like done.
Yes.
Right. It's
But the
super
power of
intense.
15
Yeah.
minutes, right?
Yeah,
But we
that's
say we
there.
don't
That's
have
there.
time.
Exactly.
So I think that's fantastic. So
Yeah.
I'm going to switch paths here a little bit and take us to another aspect. As a child, I was always in an environment where there was always music playing. So unconsciously, I grew up listening to a lot of Madhumani Iyer because my father was an ardent fan of Madhumani Iyer, and my mom used to listen to a lot of Hindi music, Hindi film songs. So
Right.
without knowing, I have memorized lyrics of, I don't know, hundreds of Hindi songs. Not that I can sing well, but I know
Right.
them in my head, right? So
Right.
I
Right.
always was, taught to, I've always believed that listening is a great way of learning as well, right? So I want
Absolutely
to
right.
ask you, I know you have a whole topic around this. Are there any tips on how we can train ourselves to listen
Right.
better? And is there something like ear training?
Yes, there is, of course. So there are, structured ways of doing it, and then there are like super fun games that you can do with, with ear training. So, a very simple way of uh, training up your ears is, to have a keyboard with you and or like any instrument for that matter, which can give you the note, right? And have a tuner open in front of like on your phone or anywhere. Just have a chromatic tuner open, which basically keeps listening to what you're playing and what you're singing. Okay, so you hit a note on the keyboard and say you hit a D. Okay, Tang, it goes D. The tuner will show you, hey, you know what, you played a D. Count, let it go, count till 5, 10, whatever number is, you're comfortable with. And then try to sing it. There is nothing else. There's no tanpura, there's nothing. Just try to remember how it sounded. So, how that note sounds, trying to remember that itself, it's a big task. So you hit it, you hear it, and you're like, you pay attention how it sounded. You keep running it in your head for like till you count 5, and then you sing it back. And the tuner tells you whether you sang it right or not.
Okay, I think I learned something new today. I haven't heard about this tuner. So you're saying play a note, put it off and then sing and see if you're able to reproduce that sound. I have never practiced like
Right,
that,
right,
honestly. So
right, right.
what
Yeah.
is this tuner? Can you tell us a little bit more or show us what this tuner that you're talking about is?
Right. So tuners are basically just apps like this one. There's a chromatic tuner. Okay. So
Mm-hmm,
it's
mm-hmm,
constantly trying to catch the note that I am speaking right now. So if I go, it's trying to tell me that it's a D, a little sharp than usual, but yeah, D. So, so this is, I mean, guitarists will know of this, string instrumentalists will know of this because they use one of these things to tune their instrument basically.
mm-hmm,
So you
mm-hmm.
can use this on your vocals, and what the way you should use it is you can probably, have a keyboard like I have one here, and I play a note. I played a C, so it is showing me a C.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you think about it, how it sounded. Count till five, maybe 10. Okay, I've been counting in my head. Okay, and then I go, you see,
Yep.
so it's
Can you
it's
can
in
you
the
play that
ballpark.
note one more time for because I think we couldn't hear the piano so well. Can you do that one more time for us, please?
Okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, and then I kind of wait it out. It's even more difficult when you're talking and
Mm-hmm.
just interacting with people, and then give it some time, and then you go
Mm-hmm.
a little sharp, but yeah, still let's see. I didn't randomly go to some other note,
Right.
right?
Right.
So
Mm-hmm.
that is one way of strengthening your ears,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
also, and you can use the same method to kind of self-check yourself if you're wondering how to kind of um, check whether you're singing right or not during practice.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
oftentimes people will say, okay, Such on a Tanpura, try to match the sa, but where is the sa, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, say I switch on the Tanpura at C, it's showing C and G because the sa and pa is C and G.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it keeps switching between C and G. Okay, so now when I sing a sa, it should show me a C. Sa, a little flat. Sa,
Mm-hmm.
you see?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Pa, right. So C is easy to get, particularly if you're singing Shankarabharanam in or
Right.
the major scale or Bilawal in C. It is simply
Mm-hmm.
C, D, E, F, G, A, B. Sa, re, ga,
Mm-hmm.
ma, pa, da, ni. You go
Mm-hmm.
re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. Okay.
Wow.
If the raga changes, the notes will change. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
all these systems have the same 12 notes that are there in music. Okay.
Correct.
So if I sing Maya Malava Gaula in the key of C, it'll show me a C and then follow it up with a D flat, which is same as a C sharp, right? So you go sa re, D flat, ga ma pa da, and A flat followed by a small
Mm-hmm.
B, right?
Mm-hmm.
Da da da. So that's how you can self-check yourself. You can just
Mm-hmm.
plain old Saregampadhanisa, figure out what the notes are. Simple Google search will tell you what the notes are. Or
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just trying to playing it on a piano or a
Piano.
guitar will tell you
Mm-hmm.
what the notes are. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just switch on a tuner, a tanpura, and sing along and see if you are able to match it.
Wow, that is such an excellent tip, Karthik. And I think I'm pretty sure everybody that's watching today has, if not anything, that's one huge, new
Yeah,
thing that they've learned, and that's fantastic.
right. So, so that is one very structured way of doing ear training where you're sitting with your instrument, you have a tuner in front of you, hit the instrument. It tells you what note, wait, count till five, try to remember how it sounded, try to sing it again and check
Reproduce
if
that
you
sound.
did it right. Basically, just recreate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, that is a nice way of training up your ears. The more fun way to kind of tune up your ears rather to kind of to listen to things is, sit with your siblings or friends who are into that, into music, play a song and try to listen to everything except the vocals and the lyrics.
Okay. Which
Okay,
I'm not
so
very used
say
to at all.
right. So this is something that I used to do along with my sister while growing up, and both of us used to go to Carnatic classes. But during other times, we are more often than not just listening to like A.R. Rahman songs or Ilayaraja songs or whatever was the latest Bollywood music at that time. And those are the days of cassette players, right? And
Yes.
not too big speakers. They were very, very small speakers.
Right.
So we had to, when a song has a interesting bass line, for example, say take Urvasi Urvasi, it goes tum 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 do 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 dum 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 dum. It goes right, but
Yes.
that's the only thing happening in the beginning. So it's right there in your face. There's
Uh-huh.
nothing else happening in that song.
Uh-huh.
But as the song progresses, try to follow that sound instead of focusing on what the lyrics are, what the singer is trying to sing, or what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep trying to follow that tone, basically of that tum 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 tum. You'll notice that when Urvashi starts, when he says Urvashi, take it easy. When he starts singing, slowly it starts changing. Initially, when the beats have not come in that song, just taking a random example, when the beats have not come, that tum 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 is still playing. But the moment the beats start coming,
That kind of subdues to the back.
it subdues, but it goes like a running wave. It goes. It changes in character. So basically, in the beginning of a song, if you find an interesting sound, except the vocals and the lyrics, hold on to that and try following it. Another example is that no, from Tal, there is a song Ramta Jogi. It has a bell that
Well,
keeps
yep.
going throughout the song. It's
Correct.
right there in your face. Try
Correct.
to find subtler sounds which probably come and go.
Yeah.
Like that.
Yeah.
Pang, pang. That's what makes the character. You take that bell away, the song it'll be a completely different song.
Right.
Okay. So that's a more fun way. So, you can sit with your friends or, people who are into the same things like you are and play a song and just like, hey, okay, let's try to listen to that song. And then you just, kind of just discuss around, hey, you know what, this happened. Oh, it went away. Oh, it came back again. Oh, it went away. So things like you'll understand what elements are being put in a piece of music. So you will, I like to call this active listening instead of just listening to a song to enjoy the lyrics or, just
True.
listening because you want to listen to music. You're actually trying to analyze some aspect of that song. So, yeah, that is a super fun way. So I grew up doing this. So that naturally built a ear to kind of, really filter out content that I don't want to focus on and just listen to what is happening uh, in a band setting rather. So
Correct.
I used to do that in Carnatic kacheris as well. I used to do that when I watch bands. Still do it. When I listen to music now, it's the only way I listen to now.
So you're suggesting that when I'm listening to Carnatic music, I tune out the singer
Hmm.
and maybe focus on the amazing violinist or the
Or the
amazing
mridangam
or
player.
the
Yeah, what are
mridangam.
they doing? Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
what are they doing? Are they doing tung tung? Is there like a pattern that they're doing?
they're
Are they
playing
doing
correct,
repetitive things?
correct.
Just look at their hand movement. Just forget the vocalist for a while. Just listen to what they are doing.
Right.
Okay. So yeah.
I think
So
that's very interesting
just go
because
about that, yeah.
a lot of times when I go to a Carnatic concert, I actually don't look at the stage. Look
Hmm.
down because I feel like when
Hmm.
I look at the stage, in certain cases, right, what happens on the stage is distracting from the music, right, because of this
Very
musician.
right.
So if you
Right?
really want active listening, practice, in spite of, being able to see all those distracting things on the screen, you have to be able to listen or look away from that and focus just on the music. So
Right.
yeah, I think that's
Right.
very, very useful tip there.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Uh,
basically try to tune your mind to listen to the changes happening in any one element of your song. Basically,
true,
that's
true,
the bottom
true,
line message. Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
So I heard you talk about the metronome. You introduced us to a tuner. It seems like you're proficient more than Carnatic and Hindustani. You're also proficient in some other genres of music, right? And the reason
Yeah.
pick on that is because a lot of students studying music here are also studying, they're a part of a choir or orchestra. They're learning Western violin or guitar.
Right.
Can
Right.
you talk to us a little bit about, how to get the best of both worlds, or how to bring and leverage the things between these
Right.
different genres of music?
Right. So, so see, there are certain things that are there in Indian music which are not there in Western,
Mm-hmm,
and vice versa. There are
mm-hmm,
certain things in Western there, I mean, many things to be very frank, in both systems that are there, it is not there in the other system. Okay.
mm-hmm,
So one thing that I would like to highlight is the concept of harmonies
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
is not there in Indian classic. The only harmony you get is the one that happens between you and the tanpura.
Correct.
That's the only harmony is basically two or more notes being played or sung together,
Sung at the
right?
same time. Mm-hmm,
So, right, at the same time. So the only point, I mean, the only harmony that happens in Indian classical music is one that you do with the tanpura, and the purpose of that is basically to so that you stay in pitch. It's just a reference.
mm-hmm,
Okay,
mm-hmm,
that's the only harmony that happens in Indian classical music. Whereas in Western music, it's a whole new world.
mm-hmm,
Okay.
mm-hmm,
On the other hand, the Indian music styles have so many different ragas or scales, so many
mm-hmm,
interesting ragas,
mm-hmm,
which is unheard of
mm-hmm,
in Western.
mm-hmm.
Uh, uh, some people call, some people even I've seen YouTube videos where Western musicians, guitarists have gone to the point of saying, but we don't, they play a seemingly Indian sounding raga without being aware that that could be actually a sound in
Raga.
different music system in
Mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm.
world. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
They play and it's like, but that we can't use it. It's useless. It's useless. We can't use it. That's the exact words they would have used. But,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
in my mind, I'm thinking, hey, you know what? That sounds like Nate to me.
Right, right.
Right. So things ragas like that. So there are a lot of Indian ragas in the whole new world of Indian ragas, which can be, implemented or can be brought in with all these Western elements, and you can
Mm-hmm,
create really interesting fusion music.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So if there are youngsters who are, you are trying to learn scales on your guitar,
mm-hmm,
violin,
mm-hmm,
piano, whatever instrument you're
mm-hmm,
into, you're trying to learn scales, do spend some time trying to play an Indian rag.
mm-hmm,
See
mm-hmm.
how you will come up with the chords for that. So that is where Indian fusion music is gone, which is what predominantly people listen to. Whoever is listening to Bollywood or like, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam film music, you are
Mhm,
listening predominantly to Indian fusion music.
mhm, mhm,
And it's
mhm.
not just today, it's been happening since the black and white films
Yeah,
era.
yeah.
It's been
Mhm,
happening forever. You take
mhm,
up great composers like M.S. Viswanathan or, R.D. Burman, people like that. They've had full-fledged orchestra sitting in front of them. It's happening from that time, right? Even
mhm,
before
mhm,
that, probably.
mhm.
Full-fledged orchestra sitting in front of them, and they are singing of. I mean, the vocalists are like people like Kishore Kumar, Lata Mangeshkar, who are classically trained, and they are
Mhm.
singing very classically oriented songs, but there are beautiful orchestras being played. And
Correct.
they have made songs in so many ragas.
Mhm,
Bihak, Basant Bahar, this, that, you
mhm,
name the ragas, they've made songs
mhm,
in that.
mhm.
So I mean, particularly the modern day young musician, you need to understand both sides of that coin so
Mhm,
that
mhm,
you are able to, I mean, of course, create interesting music at the same time, preserve Indian music as well.
mhm, mhm,
That's the
mhm.
way it is going to evolve. That is the way it is
Right.
evolving, right?
It is
We need
evolving.
to
Yeah.
preserve Indian music, and the only way it'll appeal to youngsters is to, make it sugar coated with a lot of Western elements and presented as a fusion music,
Right. Well, I think
right?
both kinds of music are very, very strong in its own way, and
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
look at it as it's not one sugar coating the other, but more of
Hmm.
how can you get the best of both worlds and
Best of both worlds.
blend
Yeah,
it
very rightly said. Yeah.
in unique new ways, because I think there is a school of thought that is very purist, right? That is even including the way I was
Hmm.
raised. My father will refuse to listen to anything but Carnatic music, right? And on the other hand, my mother doesn't understand so much of the Carnatic music. So I was fortunate to be able to get a little bit of both and make the best of it,
Yeah.
right? And I don't
Yeah.
know that
Yeah.
there is a destination that we are trying to reach here. It's a journey, right? It's like, how can you kind of
Absolutely.
evolve that music? And I think the word evolve is
Yeah.
a very important one I want to point out, is that the way we were all taught to practice, the way we were all taught to understand music and consume it, is very different than the
Mm.
way it is today. So for the younger
Absolutely.
generation and for the way life is transforming, I think we need to be open to adapting to these new ideas of
Exactly.
practice, new ways of bringing the two together. And on that note, I would love to have you share with us, maybe do a session on harmonies, for our audiences.
Would love to. Oh, yes, absolutely. I would love to do a session on harmonies, or dive a little deeper on how the two systems, the Indian music system and the Western music system, what similarities do they have? Because
Hmm.
those are the points where you would cross from one to
Diverge, yeah.
another, right?
Diverge and converge, yeah.
Basically.
Yes,
So there are a
yes.
lot of similarities in both. So
Hmm.
yeah, so
Yeah.
you can find common points to kind of pivot yourself from one to one to the other. Yeah.
Sure.
Hmm.
So, Karthik, we've covered a whole lot of tips today. You've talked about how to compress our practice in 15 minutes, how to use the metronome, how to use the tuner. I'm pretty sure you have several other hacks up your sleeve. Would you like to leave us with a couple more before we wrap up today's session?
Right.
Any other fun tips
So
and tricks for us?
sorry, you got cut out there.
Okay. Any other fun tips or tricks for us?
Right, absolutely. I'll show you a couple more. So I mean, all of these work if you have a keyboard with you, or at least have a keyboard in an iPad. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And what you can do, I can show it probably on the iPad itself, so that
Yeah.
it's just simpler. So you can open up, a Garage Band or any kind of a keyboard,
Hmm.
uh, which will which will play notes that you are playing. Okay, and this is to further strengthen your ears. Okay, yeah. So here we go. So what I'm going to do is this is to further strengthen your ears as well as build a sense of harmonies as a vocalist. So more often than not, people struggle in maintaining their harmony lines when they are singing harmonies with another vocalist. Uh, they'll end up matching the lead vocals and they'll not be able to hold on to their harmonies. So what you can do is you can play the keyboard and you can say starting from C or whatever note you're comfortable with, play any scale. Let me take Shankarabharanam or the major scale. You go, right? I'm playing Sa to Sa, but I'm going to start singing from the Ga. It's like a Graha Bhedam, and I'll sing Ga to Ga. Okay, so you go Ga Ma Pa Da Ni Sa Re Ga Ga Re Sa Ni Da Pa Ma Ga. You can do that with any note. You can start from the ma and go. You can start from the pa and then go. So you do things like that. You give
Hmm.
your ears exposure to how the combination of those two notes sound like, and with
Hmm.
enough
Hmm.
practice, that will sit in your muscle are actually singing.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm. Hmm.
so that is one. You can again, just to help people, connect Indian and Western a bit more. You can practice singing chords. So that will also kind of give you better understanding of what a chord basically should sound like.
Hmm.
So say a C major, it's a sa ga pa re ma then a D minor is a re ma ga ga pa ni ma sa pa ni re ga sa ga ni re ni sa ga pa. Okay, so
Wow. Mm-hmm.
you you just sing the notes of the chord, and
Mm-hmm.
you'll start, you do that enough number of times while playing the chord. You'll
Mm-hmm.
start associating notes with the chord.
Mm-hmm.
So, for
Mm-hmm.
example, I know in the key of C, the chord which sounds a lot like ma is the F major. You go ma. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so
Mm-hmm.
ma sa pa. So it you start relating that, and then that is absolutely important for like chord constructions when you're say you're strumming the guitar or playing the keyboard and trying to sing and wondering what chord to play
Mm-hmm.
where.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This skill is going to come in handy because basically the chord should supplement
Well, in
what
the
the vocal
voice.
lines are,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
what
Mm-hmm.
what the voice is singing. So
Mm-hmm.
breaking them down as for us will help you understand what chords to play at what point in your song.
Right.
So
Right.
these are just some of the hacks that
Oh
I
boy,
try
I
to
really
build in.
wish we could go on and on. Wow, you covered like, I don't know, like we just scraped the surface on some very, very, very deep topics here, Karthik. And I think,
Right.
if I had the time, I would be doing one session on harmonies, one session on ear training. There's just a lot that there is to offer, that you have to offer. So I want to
Yeah.
share with our audiences how they can better leverage the things that you have to offer. So if you can tell us about a little bit about your Instagram content on a regular basis that
Hmm.
you put out, as well as
Right.
how they can enroll in some of your online classes that where you
Right.
teach some of these things.
Right. Right. So my Instagram handle is Mokkaimauli, Mokkaimauli. So you can just search that and you'll find you'll reach my page. And in there, in the highlights, Instagram highlights, I have, uh, if I remember correctly, 5 highlights, and the first one says "Start here." So people who are looking for, like absolute basic stuff, how to get started, what are some things that I can do. It has demos of what everything that we have spoken and much more, like how to use a
That's
tuner
how
and
I
a
found
metronome. Yeah,
it.
right.
Very good
So
stuff.
you click on that start here highlight, and it will take you to a set of 30 reels,
Hmm. Hmm.
which I have organized as a guide, and you go one after the other, and you'll have a fair understanding of how to go about.
Hmm.
Then there are reels which are about harmonies, where I am harmonizing, and at the same time, there are explanations going what notes are being sung in
Hmm.
Indian classical.
Hmm.
I'm not talking about C, D, E, F. I'm going to say, okay, sa along with a ga, along with a pa, along with a ni, a sa,
Hmm.
ga, pa, ni is what a major seventh chord is, basically, depending on the
Hmm.
ga. So things like that. So I talk about those, and then there are some workshop insights that I have, offline workshops that I have conducted, offline as well as online. And then, of course, my band's music is there, my original music is there. So all that is there in the highlights. So definitely do check out the 4 5 highlights that are there in my page. That will give you a very good idea of what to expect from my Instagram
Content.
handle.
Hmm.
Yeah. So as far as the courses are concerned, yes, my website is vocaler.in, Vocaler. Again, it's a play on word. It's, instead of calling a vocalist, it's vocaler.
Color, right?
Like like you won't call a drummer a drummist, right?
Yes, yes.
There you go. This is the website, Vocaler.
Uh-huh,
Vocaler,
uh-huh,
vocaler.in,
uh-huh,
India.in. Okay,
uh-huh.
vocaler.in. So there is a online Shruti box as well, which is a sine wave Shruti. So
Mhm,
instead of the conventional Tanpura kind of a Shruti, which keeps moving between the sa, pa, and sa, the
mhm,
sine wave signals are like absolute straight waveforms. So it helps
mhm,
you understand whether you're going off or not a little better.
mhm,
So
mhm,
you can use that sine wave Shruti box. You can check out uh, the courses page where there are free courses as well. There are ridiculously cheap courses. Then there are
advanced level courses.
reasonably priced advanced
Mhm,
level courses as well. And then, of course, I do conduct one-on-one lessons as well, which
mhm,
is, basically through, you can just ping me on Instagram, and we can take it forward.
Yeah.
So
What we'll do,
that's how
Karthik,
we do.
so at the end of the session, I will share with people the links that they can reach out to you with.
Right.
It will be available
Mm.
along with this recording. And we'll also send them, follow-up message with where they can find you, how they can find you, how they can contact you. So we
Right.
hope
Thank you
that,
so much.
our audiences get something out of the fun tips and trips that you have shared today, as well as they
Right.
will have an opportunity to get deeper on any of the topics of interest, whether it's
Right.
harmony, whether it's
Right.
the fun tips and tricks. But I think
Right.
this is a fantastic hour I have been able to spend with you. Because I have
Thank
been
you.
a big fan of yours for several months now. So
Thank
it's
you.
just awesome that you could come on our platform and share with our audiences these beautiful tips that I think can help us all get to the next level with our music journey, because I never think of it as a destination. It's not about that next
Right. It's
performance.
always a journey.
It's always
Absolutely.
a journey. So,
Absolutely.
on behalf of everybody here that is watching us today, as well as all of our Sur Darbar community, I want to say thank you for coming live
Thank
with
you.
us and sharing some of your amazingly unique insights. We wish you all the best in your journey as well
Thank you.
of music, and we hope to continue to interact either through sessions. Maybe we'll do another session on harmonies. Would love to have you
Right.
back as a guest.
Right.
And so,
Right.
once again, thank you so much from all of us here.
Thank you so much. Thank you. The pleasure is all mine. I had an absolute blast doing this interview. So
Wonderful.
yes, I look forward to doing more of these. Yes.
Yes, thank you so much, Karthik, and have a wonderful night.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
Re ga ga re re pa pa da pa ga re ga ga pa ga ga da da sa da pa da pa sa sa re sa da pa da sa da da re ga re sa re ga pa ga re sa sa pa da sa pa da ga re ga pa ga re ga pa ga sa re ga re sa re da sa re sa da sa pa da sa